I'm John Batchelor. Gordon Chang's here of Forbes.com, and we're off to Hong Kong. Because in Hong Kong, there's an answer. And Gordon, we're going to keep at this answer. What the heck is Jason Bourne, Ed Snowden doing in Hong Kong? We're going to keep that until somebody gives us an answer. And we're joined now by David Feith of the Wall Street Journal editorial page of the Asia Wall Street Journal, writing most recently in the journal, The Snowden Mythology, the Snowden primacy, the Snowden imperative, the Snowden hasn't a clue. David, a very good morning to you. What the heck is he doing in Hong Kong? Now, we speak to a professor of law at Hong Kong University, Mike Davis. He lays down very clearly, you can see this in Wikipedia, Mr. Snowden, or your PLA handlers, who's ever listening, that Hong Kong has an extradition treaty with this inconvenient republic, if you've stolen its secrets, called the United States of America, that you have as an American citizen 90 days in Hong Kong without need of a visa in Hong Kong. And at the end of those 90 days, you can get on a plane and go anywhere that isn't going to be intercepted by agents of the United States of America. That C.Y. Leung, the director of the Chinese governance in Hong Kong, is going to follow the rules and procedures, that there's an active court system in Hong Kong. It's going to follow the rules and procedures. So, Mr. Snowden in Hong Kong. David, can you tell us now, after several days, it's about 2 weeks now, what is he doing in Hong Kong? What do people say to themselves when he claims that Hong Kong was his best choice? Good morning to you, David.
Good to be with you. It is interesting that even after 2 weeks here, it's hard to say exactly what he's thinking. So Snowden said initially that he is here because he wanted to come to a place that respects free speech. He said he might have also perhaps gone to Iceland, where the arrangements about internet freedom and perhaps extradition are better, but he ended up in Hong Kong. Well, it's a bit curious. It's hard to mistake Hong Kong for Iceland, but he says it's because Hong Kong has this tradition of free speech, which is true, except for that tradition changed dramatically in 1997 when Hong Kong became the sovereign territory of China and no longer of Britain. And from the extradition treaty to various other things, this isn't the climate it was before, and his presence here is causing a lot of folks here and, of course, worldwide to really wonder. Of course, some in the U.S. are even speculating that this is some sort of arrangement with handlers of his in Beijing. That's all speculative and not entirely compelling, but it would seem with this story anything's possible.
David, on Monday, Snowden gave a Q&A online chat with The Guardian, and in that online chat, he said that he has had no contact with officials from China or any place else for that matter. He said that the only people he has talked to since he's been in Hong Kong have been journalists. Do you think that he was telling the truth?
I don't know that we have any particular reason to believe that he is. He also, of course, introduces himself to the world and congratulates himself as a person who's simply concerned about American civil liberties and wants to protect fellow Americans from intrusions into their privacy. And then it turns out day by day that he's actually simply more interested in dishing espionage gossip about what the U.S. is doing in China and what the U.S. is doing in Britain. So he's not the most reliable source. As for whether he's spoken to the Chinese, again, I wouldn't credit that much. There's also the point, as he should well know, given his background in cyber issues, he's here. He's online while he's here. I think assuming that the Chinese authorities, who are very good at their own cyber snooping, have already gotten hold of what Snowden has on his machines is unfortunately probably a fairly safe assumption.
Yeah, the Chinese, they can clean out the servers at the Pentagon from half a world away. You think that they probably could deal with his laptop, which is in a Hong Kong hotel? I mean, what is this guy thinking?
No, it's amazing, and I think that's an aspect of this that is causing some people to think this might be an extremely unusual kind of spy caper, and but it also puts a very odd complexity on the question of what will happen with him going forward. In other words, there's a certain question of, does the U.S. want to, put out a warrant and seek his arrest before he releases more information, but of course he's promised that this information is coming no matter what. Then there's the risk that if they do put out that warrant and Snowden gets into the local authorities, even if we leave aside any international spy angle, if he's in the hands of the local authorities, presumably his belongings and his computers are also. It's an amazingly odd dynamic.
We're speaking to David Feith of the Asia Wall Street Journal editorial page. He's in Hong Kong. And David, I appeal to you, I reach to your generation because you're a younger person. Lucky for you, David. And you're in the middle of a story that is going to be part of American history for many decades, perhaps into the 21st century, because we're learning about the digital world and how there are no secrets and can be no secrets. There are state-to-state conflicts going on in the cyber world now, where once upon a time we worried about battleships and aircraft carriers. So, David, your generation, or you're listening very keenly for the mood of your generation and Mr. Snowden, separate from us old fogies, the boomers. Is he understood as a hero, or are people waiting for more? Are they holding back before they decide?
As far as generations are concerned, there, I think there's a slightly different angle, which is about the relative comfort or discomfort that folks have with the idea that all their information is online and known to private companies and perhaps known to foreign governments and even known to some degree to the U.S. National Security Agency and other agencies. I think there's no question that the discomfort is greater among older folks, and younger people have either a certain fatalism about it. They might understand that they're putting an amazing amount of information about their lives online, but it's the only kind of practice they've known. Or if not fatalism, there's a certain kind of a certain sense. Well, privacy was something from another era, and it's simply the way of life now to have Facebook and all the rest.
I like that. I like it a lot. That's very helpful to me, Gordon, to know that our understanding of privacy is out of date.
Well, privacy is important, and I think people, no matter what their age, are going to start to understand its significance.
Gordon, David Feith is in Hong Kong, and to our knowledge, Ed Snowden is in Hong Kong. Mr. Feith has the advantage that he can stay there indefinitely as an American citizen of high standing. Mr. Snowden, ? Gordon Chang of Forbes.com. I'm John Batchelor.